guys, welcome back to my channel. My name's Emily. If you're new here, subscribe. I'm going to be doing a really industry specific video today, but I think it might be helpful for other people who aren't in my industry. Basically, I work in the film and TV industry in England. Our hours are quite long. I don't know how much other people know about our industry, but our hours are long and they're irregular, and we have a lot of unions fighting that. We work, on an average day, you might start at 8 AM and finish at 6 or 7 PM, which is quite long, and then that's only a nice day. Most days, well, not most days, but a lot of days you could be doing something called splits, which is where you're working half in the daytime and half in the nighttime. Or you could be working night shoots, which I've done a lot of. They're nasty. I should do another video about how to survive night shoots because they're intense. We work a lot outside on location, a lot of carrying heavy equipment. And then on top of all that, there's a lot of industry politics. And it's quite hard to get your head around in your first year or two because nobody explains it really. You might get a few people who are giving you tips, but most of the time you have to be watching like a hawk what everyone else is doing and figure it out for yourself. But I wanted to do a video where I did sit down and try and explain what I've learned. I've only been in the industry a year and a bit, so I'm not an expert. I'm a trainee in the camera department, and I feel like I've learned a million things since last year. So I wanted to make a video to get them all out there. I might split this video into two, we'll see. But anyway, I'm gonna get started. Okay, so first tip, this is kind of the last tip in my how to thrive alongside a demanding career video, but it's check your call sheet as soon as you finish work. You should get your call sheet pretty much as soon as wrapper's called. So just check it in the minibus home, and if you're not getting a minibus, then check it in your car while you're, figuring out how to get home. It is so useful. It'll just mentally prepare you for the next day. There's no back part of your mind wondering, oh, do I have a pre-call tomorrow? Oh, I can't be bothered to check. How far do I need to drive tomorrow? I can't be bothered to check. You've already done it, and you have a 45-minute drive and a half-hour pre-call, and that's that. So then on the morning of your shift, it's generally better to get there for the beginning of breakfast, at least in my department, in the camera crew. As a trainee, you should be getting there for the beginning of breakfast, which is 1 hour before call. So if your call is 8, then you should be getting there for 7. I know that sounds insane for anyone outside of the industry, but for some reason that's how we work, and that's kind of like a uniform thing. There are exceptions, like if you've been in the studio for a week, you can probably allow your times to slide a bit, but really as a trainee, we all get there for the beginning of breakfast. And it just allows for, if you're stuck in traffic for an extra 10 minutes or you have to go back for something, you're not going to be pushing it to call time. That's really bad. If you're turning up 1:45 call time, it's bad. Obviously, I personally don't drink on school nights because you just never know, you could oversleep. I don't tend to oversleep when I drink, but still, I live in constant fear of oversleeping. Don't turn up hungover as a trainee. I think it can be funny when loaders and focus pullers do it, but in general, trainees aren't supposed to do it because you're still making an impression. And if you make a bad impression, people remember and they will tell other people about it. Unfortunately, that's just how recommendations get around. Next is a general tip. Be kind to everyone because you never know who you're talking to. On set, we don't use name badges, and you can be a daily and not know who you're talking to. Or what's happened to me a few times is an executive producer has come on set and you think that they're just a random grip or spark or something like that, and you just start chatting with them. And then later you realize that they're the executive producer. And I've always been, oh my goodness, so thankful that I never dismissed anyone, or it was just I'm really busy, sorry, I have to go, or been oh, this man's creepy. Always be polite to everyone because you're still at work. Even though we have a very casual work environment, you should definitely be super friendly and polite to everyone because people in this country don't tend to introduce themselves. If I'm ever talking to someone, I try and say, hi, I'm Emily, I'm the trainee for today. Well, some people would just be hi, I'm Bob. And you're oh, Bob, and you don't have time to check the call sheet to see who Bob is. It's maybe on there and they expect you to know that there is a Bob who's an executive producer, but if you're a daily, there's no way you're gonna know that. It's good to have a kinder reputation, I think. When you can help people out, help them out, as long as it doesn't get in the way of your tasks, because someone else can always help you out when you're in a tight space, and they'll probably remember that you were kind to them earlier. Another one that's quite general worky is don't discuss politics. I think because our industry is quite casual, people do occasionally discuss politics, but definitely wouldn't get into it. And if you are stuck in a conversation with someone of your superior who's, ranting about politics, just either change the subject or smile and nod. If you're really feeling bold, you could just agree with them. But would avoid trying to like challenge someone politically, because it's just pointless, and it will just, they'll take it as a personal thing, and there's really no need to be discussing it at work. On my very first day as a trainee, like prep week, not even on set, so like before I was on set, my very first day, one of the guys I was working with started ranting about politics, and I was just like, I was like, yeah. I didn't know what to say, because it wasn't that I disagreed or agreed with him, but people remember that kind of stuff because it always hits a chord, you know? If you say something wrong, they'll remember, or they'll label you in their head. Religion, I mean, I'm religious and I'm openly religious on set, and the amount of people I've heard bitching about my religion or being rude about it is crazy. And I remember it, I don't hold it against them, but I do remember the people who have been rude to my face about my religion, and they're not people that I go out of my way to work with again. So if it's the other way around and you're a trainee ranting about, I don't know, your operator's religion, he'll remember that as well, and it's not good. Keep religion out of it. Next one, I think I said this in my last video, but have friends outside of the industry, like, I mean, who don't even know what you do all day. It is so lovely on the weekend when I get to go see my girlfriends, and not one of them asks me, nobody asks me like how many pages we shot, or if I dropped any batteries, or what the focus puller thought of me, or if I'm getting hired back. They just go, how was work? And I say, it's good, or it's bad, and then that's it. And I don't, it's such a relief. Then we just get to talk about personal stuff, and it's so refreshing, because obviously all day, every day you're on set talking about work. That's pretty much, during the week, all of your social energy is being used up by being on set. And if you're like me and you're dating someone else in the industry, you're also then just hearing about their day and what's going on their set. So it is very nice to have friends outside of the industry who are never going to ask you any questions that'll trigger you or anything, and you just get to talk about stuff completely unrelated, and you can forget what job you do. Is it bad that I want to forget what job I do during the weekend? I don't know. It's also lovely to have friends inside the industry, because they can understand you and they can give you advice. I have a couple friends who are in the industry, and it is really useful to be able to rant to them, because they understand it. Like, anyway, so yeah. So it is useful to have friends on and off set, but I would definitely put an emphasis on friends off set if you want to keep some form of personal life alongside your very time-consuming job. This is one it feels a bit counterproductive, but using your lunch break to do your own personal stuff. We're not paid in the industry for our lunch break, but it is kind of custom for trainees to stay and talk to their focus pullers and loaders, which is fine. You can definitely do that, especially if you're on dailies and you're meeting new people. It's great. But at the same time, your lunch break is your time, and you're not working while you're on your lunch break. You shouldn't be working on your lunch break. I know we do as trainees, because we have to get lunches and then tidy it up and start coffee rounds. But if you have like a doctor's appointment that you need to book, or a haircut that you need to book, do it on your lunch break and walk off and go on the phone and do your thing, because you can't do that stuff when you get home, and you can't do it before work because the hours are so crazy. So use your lunch break for your admin, or sort out your life stuff that you need to. This one is a totally boring financial one, but always have 6 months of living expenses saved in a bank account somewhere. I call this my cushion account, and only one loader has ever suggested this to me, and I am so happy that I took his advice, because I would have been down bad at the beginning of this year. And I was actually, because there was not a lot of work in the city that I work in. And so I had 4 months where I wasn't working, and so I had to melt through all of those savings. And if I didn't have those savings, then I would have had to leave the industry and do something else, which isn't ideal. I can't even say on one hand how many other trainees I've talked to who totally ran out of money this year. Like, just this year, they ended up with zero in their bank account because we weren't getting the work that we were expecting to, and nobody had told them that you will be out of work for 4 months. It's not just like a newbie thing, which a lot of the trainees I was talking to, we are newbies. But it can happen at any point in your career, especially when you're stepping up, which is like getting a promotion if you're not in the industry. So being financially prepared is so important, because you want to be able to keep your composure. You don't want to be panicking that you're running out of money and texting people like, oh my god, can you please give me work, I'm running out of money. That's not a good look. You need to be calm and in charge of your finances. I know this isn't very recommended as a trainee, but sometimes you do have to turn work down if you need the financial freedom to be able to walk away from a job if you're being mistreated. And if you're working with maybe a focus puller or an operator who's being inappropriate to you or bullying you, and you need to be able to step away when you're not being respected. Really, as a trainee, you want to be saying yes to everything. But when it comes to like being mistreated, you need a bit of a cushion just in case you have to walk away from a job. There are still men saying totally inappropriate things to girls. It happens all the time. That hasn't gone away. And you just kind of have to prepare for it.